The Hungarian Grand Prix isn't just another race on the calendar, it's a pressure cooker, and this year it's ready to blow. The Hungaroring, nestled just outside Budapest, has always been a test of control, balance and rhythm, but in 2025, it's turning into something much more volatile. We're not just talking about lap times or tire compounds, we're talking about political fractures, emotional flashpoints, and a sport that's at war with its own identity. Formula One fans are still reeling from the bizarre, borderline farcical scenes at Spa-Francorchamps. That race, if you can even call it that, was smothered by safety cars and second-guessing. Max Verstappen's furious radio messages weren't just frustration, they were symbolic. "This is silly," he said. "We could have raced." He wasn't alone. Lewis Hamilton, never one to mince words, echoed the sentiment. These weren't just drivers looking for drama, they were veterans of the sport begging for clarity. Now, the storm clouds, both literal and metaphorical, following them to Hungary. Lewis Hamilton arrives with momentum. Sure, his charge from the pit lane to P7 at Spa reminded the world what he's capable of. But even he knows momentum is fragile. At the Hungaroring, technical mastery often outweighs raw pace. With narrow turns, limited overtaking zones, and heat that punishes both driver and machine, this track is more like a chessboard than a battlefield. It rewards intelligence, not just aggression. But then there's the wildcard weather. Forecasts are calling for dry conditions on Friday and Saturday, but Sunday, there's a 35% chance of rain. And in Formula One, that 35% might as well be a coin toss. The Hungarian GP has a history of unpredictable showers that flip strategies upside down and turn podium hopefuls into midfield survivors. If that rain comes, it won't just change the race, it will resurrect the ghosts of spanned rays. Even more questions about whether the FIA has the guts to let racing actually happen. And that's what brings us here. To a Grand Prix teetering on the edge of brilliance or breakdown. Hungary isn't just the next race, it's the next flashpoint, the next controversy waiting to erupt. And with Ferrari giving up, Red Bull experimenting, and McLaren charging forward with confidence, it feels like the whole sport is spinning, its wheels waiting to see who can regain control. Because in a season already teeming with plot twists and political undertones, the Hungarian Grand Prix could be the moment that tips everything over. When you talk about Hungary in Formula One, one name comes up again and again: Lewis Hamilton. Statistically, he owns this circuit: 8 wins, 9 poles, a dozen podiums, nearly 500 laps lead. These aren't just numbers, they're chapters in a story of dominance. For over a decade, Hamilton has danced with his circuit like a master pianist with his favorite keys. But this year, even the maestro is playing with a broken instrument. His car, while improving, still doesn't match the frontrunners. At Spa, Hamilton had to claw his way from the pit lane just to finish 7th. Impressive, absolutely. Encouraging, not exactly, because every lap of that comeback was a reminder of what he's fighting against, a machine that refuses to rise to his talent. At the Hungaroring, where every corner demands surgical precision and every second counts, he'll need more than momentum, he'll need a miracle. Yet if there's one driver who can bend fate to his will, it's Hamilton. He thrives in adversity, he finds lines others can't see, and he knows this track like it's encoded in his DNA. Still, even his history might not be enough. Red Bull's updates may not have been fully tested at Spa, but Hungary offers the perfect proving ground, assuming the weather doesn't throw the whole strategy into chaos again. But here's the deeper question. Has Hamilton's dominance at Hungary created unrealistic expectations? Every time he lines up on this grid, people expect magic. But magic doesn't happen when you're wrestling an underpowered car. The emotional toll of carrying a team through transition, combined with the pressure of his own legacy, creates a psychological battle most fans don't see. And still, he fights. That's the beauty of Lewis Hamilton. It's not just the talent, it's the resolve, the refusal to surrender to mediocrity. While others talk about strategy, he talks about belief. While others see limitations, he sees possibilities. And in Hungary, belief might just be his greatest weapon. Because while the stats say he's king here, Formula One has a brutal way of reminding you that kings don't get to stay on the throne forever. For a team sitting atop the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull seems surprisingly unsettled. Behind the calm of press conferences and PR statements, there's an uneasy creeping realization that dominance is slipping through their fingers. And it's not just Max Verstappen's tone, it's his body language. His frustration is no longer subtle, it's boiling over. After Spa, Max made it clear the RB21 isn't where it needs to be. Every Friday seems to bring new adjustments, new experiments. Red Bull is chasing shadows, searching for those elusive tenths to keep pace with McLaren, who now look like the team to beat. Helmut Marko, never shy with his opinions, has pinned his hopes on new upgrades introduced at Spa in Hungary. But Spa was a washout, quite literally, and Hungary is a high downforce, high heat challenge that historically hasn't suited Red Bull well. And that's the problem there. Innovating from a position of fear, not control. Max may still be one of the fiercest competitors on the grid, but he's tired of the guesswork, of having to compensate for mechanical inconsistency. And Hungary, technical narrow, and unforgiving, offers no room for error. It magnifies every flaw. Meanwhile, McLaren's rise is unsettling. Their upgrades are methodical, strategic, and data-driven. At Silverstone, they brought a new flaw but didn't rush to use it. Instead, they studied, learned. Red Bull, in contrast, is improvising. And in Formula One, improvisation rarely beats preparation. So what happens when the reigning world champion starts to doubt the machinery underneath him? He pushes harder. He takes risks, but he also grows impatient. Verstappen's critique of the FIA at Spa wasn't just about weather, it was about a sport that no longer feels like its rewarding racing instinct. It was about control slipping away. And that's why Hungary matters so much. If Red Bull falters here, the narrative shifts dramatically. They go from favorites to vulnerable. And Max Verstappen, he doesn't do vulnerable well. If Red Bull is the symbol of fire and fury, McLaren is the storm brewing quietly in the background. While the spotlight has mostly hovered over Hamilton and Verstappen, McLaren has been crafting something different, something precise, calculated, and potentially championship-winning. Under the leadership of Andrea Stella, and with the technical minds clicking in unison, McLaren's development strategy this season has been nothing short of revolutionary. They don't just throw upgrades onto the car and hope. They test, refine, and launch only when the data says go. At Silverstone, they introduced a new flaw, but only used it in practice. That's patience, that's control, and that's confidence. In Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, they've got two drivers who are not just fast but fearless. Norris especially has matured into a contender. His performances this season have been filled with intelligence and aggression. Hungary's tight corners and strategic complexity suit his style perfectly. And in a rain-soaked scenario, don't underestimate Oscar either. His Spa victory, helped by weather and chaos, proved he's ready to capitalize when opportunity knocks. Unlike Ferrari, who've admitted they're essentially out of the fight for 2025, McLaren is playing the long game. But they're also ready to strike now. Their setup flexibility, upgrade efficiency, and composure under pressure make them the most balanced team on the grid. Right now, and the paddock knows it. There's a reason Red Bull is scrambling, a reason Verstappen is unsettled. McLaren has the speed, the data, and the nerve to challenge anyone. And if the weather gods play their part on Sunday, we might just see the quiet revolution explode into a statement victory. At the heart of this chaotic weekend lies a much bigger conversation about what Formula One is becoming. After Spa, fans weren't just annoyed by the delays, they were heartbroken. A sport built on bravery seemed suddenly afraid. The FIA says safety comes first, and yes, it must. But has caution become paralysis? Are we watching risk management or racing? Drivers like Verstappen and Hamilton argue that wet races are part of F1's DNA, and they're right. Senna in Donington, Schumacher in Spain, Button in Canada. These weren't just races, they were epics made possible by the rain, and the refusal to let it silence competition. Now, the FIA is walking a tightrope. If they overreact to Sunday's forecast in Hungary, they risk turning a potential classic into another forgettable farce. But if they get it right, we could witness brilliance. Rain has a way of cutting through the noise, bringing out the rawest talent. It's where underdogs rise and legends are born. Hungary is more than just round 13 of a 26-race calendar. It's a mirror, a reflection of where F1 stands. Between innovation and tradition, between control and chaos. The decisions made this weekend, from strategy calls to race control, will ripple far beyond Budapest. So here's the truth. The Hungarian Grand Prix doesn't need a perfect forecast or flawless planning. What it needs is courage, from drivers, from teams, from the FIA, because racing is meant to be wild, unpredictable, emotional. And if Formula One remembers that, if it leans into the chaos rather than hiding from it, then maybe, just maybe, this Sunday will be one for the ages. So don't just watch the race, feel it. Think about what's at stake. And if this video sparked something in you, some excitement, some frustration, some hope, then hit subscribe, share your thoughts, because this isn't just our sport, it's our passion. And right now, it needs all of us to keep it honest.